We're good to go live. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And Chris, thanks very much for inviting me. Obviously, I'm new to some people, so I'll very briefly explain a little bit about myself. My name's Ian Edgerton, and I work with salon owners throughout the UK and abroad, but predominantly the UK. And I've managed and owned salons for about 40 years. And very much been all parts in the hair and beauty industry, both on various boards, charities, employing staff from hair and beauty backgrounds, running my own businesses, managing other people's businesses. About 15 years ago, I got into working with salon owners and running a business at the same time myself, discovered all of the challenges that people were facing and started developing strategies to help salon owners manage elements of their business. This evolved into software. I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time talking about software today. That's not why we're here. We're here for me to explain something about the way that we work. And so really this is about you. And you're responsible for your well-being or your staff's well-being and the success of your business, and you're juggling lots of responsibilities and running all sorts of challenges from day to day. So your role's a little bit similar to a conductor leading an orchestra. You've got to ensure that there's harmony, consistency, and top performance for everyone on the team, meaning everyone is looking to you to give guidance and reassurance. Now, to do that successfully, you'll need to have a broad range of skills and be able to adapt to changes in the way businesses operate. And of course, we need to be able to incorporate, one second, we have somebody new into the room. There you go. So being able to do that successfully, you need to be able to adapt to all of the new rules, regulations, and the new ways of working. And of course, business models have evolved. So from the small independent businesses that we had in the 70s and 80s to chains in the 90s, to chair rentals in the early 2000s, and now we're seeing the salon suite. So change in the salon industry is nothing new. It's constantly evolved. And of course, employment and worker models have shifted also since the introduction of minimum wage rates in 1999. The hair and beauty industry has largely pinned the levels set by the government, which successive governments increase above inflation pretty much year on year. There's only been 2 years where they didn't do that since 1999. Obviously, recently we've seen some fairly steep inclines, and we'll touch on that today. So our industry generally is classed as a low-pay sector, and the way that I see most salons operate is that they support that narrative. So I think it's up to us to elevate our thinking. As an industry, there are, of course, issues with pricing, a perception of value for some, and in other cases, businesses are struggling to compete with their own VAT registered business and other businesses that are not VAT registered. So the evolution of social power, which is great for those with a strong social following, of course, the downside, employees today have short attention spans and move quickly to seek opportunities, meaning today's employer must offer something truly special to attract and retain talent, which is why it's important to focus on creating a healthy working environment where employees can prosper. So today's employment model must give employees opportunities to develop personally and professionally, whilst equally sharing accountability for success. Now, to ensure all of this is affordable, the best pay structure needs to incentivize and reward the right behaviors, and essentially leaving nowhere for people to hide behind poor levels of performance. So the motto for today's business model really is KISS, keep it super simple. A clear business strategy where accountability and an unapologetic approach to generating wealth should be equally important to everybody in the business. And with the right mindset, we can transform the way our businesses operate. And I know that is true because I do this on a day-to-day basis with different businesses. Of course, it's great to have a vision, but in truth, there's an awful lot going on. This is why you should use a HR system, and in truth, you should use Loop HR because it's the only salon-specific HR software to manage all of this stuff that you can see on the screen right now. And with all of that stuff taken care of, you can focus on your financial goals and helping your team achieve what it is that they need to do.
Warning. This session explores salary structures and management concepts that reward behaviors that drive business success. Bonuses and recognition take priority over outdated commission percentages. If you do not want to explore new business models, look away now.
Well, you've been warned. So some of what you're about to see today, you may disagree with. And the only thing that I can say to you on that point is whenever I attended events in the industry and I disagreed with something, in my own head, I spent so long going, I don't agree with that. I actually missed what it was that they were trying to tell me. So maybe age and experience have sort of taught me now to actually try to switch off my brain, and instead of pushing against something, I'm prepared to absorb some of what it is that people are presenting to me. So you may want to take a pen and paper, jot down some notes, but the way that I'm going to talk about things is not really a theory, and it's not designed to be rude. I'm simply sharing what I see in the industry every single day. Okay, so the basics, we're going to talk about money, and of course in business that's money in and money out, and assuming the services you offer are relevant and the prices you charge are created for profit. The only other elements you need to consider are the outgoing, and that's of course your salary bills and general bills, with salaries taking approximately 50% of the business. And our focus today is on pay and pay structures, and I'll start with the most common pay structures, which is commission-based pay. Now, commission pay structures are typically and unnecessarily complicated and often difficult to manage. Employees struggle to understand how to achieve targets, and salon owners and bookkeepers I see struggle for hours trying to calculate numbers that effectively do very little to shift the needle for your business. And I will explain why I believe that's true in just a moment. Most hair and beauty employers, or should I say employees, are offered a national minimum wage, and staff are often paid by the hour, and their pay structures would be described something like this. So you get X commission when you hit your target, and your target is 3 times your wage. And if X% of your income is technical services, you'll get Y commission. And if your retail sales hit X% of service sales, you'll get Z commission. And when your service sales hit XY, then you'll get YZ commission. If you double your retail sales, then the same time last year, you'll get ZZ commission. Okay, now that's slightly exaggerated. However, this does also happen. If you work on reception, count stock, deliver training, you'll get a different rate. And if you work overtime, you get this rate. Except when you work Sundays, you'll get that rate. But if you're out sick, well, it goes back to the base rate. And if you think I'm kidding, I see it. And then we have to earn retail commission, which we love. Of course, people have different views on this, but this again, I'm being slightly sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek. So you must sell the equivalent of X% of your service sales to get Y commission. But if you do this other job, you'll get XY commission for that bit. Now, literally, whilst it's difficult to comprehend that people would make their own lives so difficult, when I challenge salon owners on this, it's often because what they're trying to do is to incentivize people. So whether or not we think that is working, once somebody has explained their salary structure and they go, welcome to the company, and essentially the team members are. Now, as I say, whilst most of that was exaggerated, these sort of structures are common throughout the hair and beauty industry, and they fail to reward the behaviors that are good for the business, and they fail to inspire people to generate any meaningful revenue. And even worse, they're driving talented people out of the salon industry to find better income opportunities. So let's look at what we can do to turn these things around. All around the world, there are people who make significant changes. Now, be that to the world, to their community, to their business, their family. And they rarely make these changes by tweaking things around the edges. So they think differently about the issues and how they can tackle them. And essentially, they think big. As Norman Vincent Peale said, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. So let's turn our thinking on its head, and rather than focus on the lowest denomination, minimum wage, trying to build things out from a minimum wage, let's think big and let's set our business goal. Now, whether that's 300,000 or whether it's millions, be clear on your goal. And what I'm going to do is, in my example today, I'm going to use a £1 million goal. I understand that that is quite ambitious, but essentially my purpose is to demonstrate it's not unachievable. So I'm going to start with my £1 million goal, and the first thing I need to understand is how many team members, so the number of team members that I need to achieve my goal. So I'm going to choose 12 revenue producing people and 3 support team members, so a total of 15. If I have 12 revenue producing team members, then I have my $1 million. Each person must produce 83,333. And if we divide that by the number of weeks that they work, they need to bring in an average of 1,760 per week. Your figures are going to be different from what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, in my experience, there are plenty of hair and beauty professionals capable of producing 1,760 in a week. And we're going to have some people that bring in more and people that bring in less. This is my big thinking. There's no detail here. This is just allowing me to sort of go, oh, actually, yeah, I can do it. If I need 12 revenue producing people doing that much. And the reason it's by 46.4 weeks is because out of the 52 weeks in a year, there are 5.6 weeks that team members are not producing revenue because they're on holiday. Okay, let's continue with my thinking. And so we're going to give those 12 team members, we're going to give them targets, and those targets are going to be based on price. And I've just move something out the way. There you go. So they're going to be based on price rather than a multiple of wage. And I'm going to show you how I do that in a little while. And we're going to use KPIs to help employees to achieve their targets. So I'm going to spend just a quick hot minute to explain how we like to think about stuff. So we've talked about your big goal. And, in my example, this was £1 million. And then we talked about the 12 employees. So we'd have 12 targets, 1 target each for each team member. And then we would use KPIs, key performance indicators, for the team members to drive their sales towards achieving their target. So I'm going to break that down a little bit further. And it really won't take a moment. And a lot of what I'm saying is not going to be particularly new, but the reason for laboring on this is our goal, our business goal, then the people that we need to help us achieve it need individual targets. And to help your individuals achieve their goals, we've got these KPIs, okay? So this is what they look like. You're very familiar with them. Our rebooking rates, client retention, new client retention, client referral. Nowadays we've got quality social media content and Google reviews. And what we do at Loop is we group these things. We group them in ways that we sort of go, well, that's about client care. So we look at rebooking rates, client retention and new client retention, and we put them into a group. And you as the business owner decide, looking at the information in the industry statistically, and also for your area, for your business, and for each individual. What is a good rebooking rate for an individual? What is good client retention? What is good new client retention? There are elements in there that maybe if somebody isn't good with new clients, that you're not going to give them any new clients until they perform better. But by focusing on those three areas and you're naming it client care, maybe the team member will register why rebooking is important, why client retention or new client retention is important. Making a story around each of these groups. We have several groups that we use, and I'm just focusing on two today. Another one is Accelerate, and we call it Accelerate because it's very much about the team member who needs to grow a client base. So therefore, we lump together these client referrals, social media content, and then we have Google 4 or 5-star Google reviews. We want team members to understand how they can grow their business, and that's why we use KPIs like this. So with your KPIs, so let's go through it. We've got our business goal, we've got a numbers of employees that we need to achieve our goal. We've set employee targets based on price, which again, I said we'll look at in a moment. And we use KPIs to help employees achieve their financial targets. So now we're going to use salary models that drive and reward behaviors. But before we get into that, I am just going to talk about the commission structures again, just for a moment. So they very much focus on the percentage of money that the team member earns. It says nothing about looking after the guest. It says nothing about their quality of work. And it literally just focuses on the money that you're giving away. And I know that this does work or can work with larger teams that have been working together for a while and they already have a client base. My focus today isn't on that group of people. Whether you use base pay plus commission, which is a classic, or whether you use a plus low-level commission, or you use whichever is higher. I am not saying they don't work. I know they work. In Loop HR, you can use any one of those structures. But what we do say is that there is a better way of doing things if you're looking to grow your business from the ground up, or your mid-level people who aren't achieving those commission thresholds. So let's move on to what I'm describing as a smart salon pay structure. Within Loop, we call it the performance pay system. And what we use is a base pay, personal, performance, and super bonus. I'm going to show you how those things work. And first of all, if we go back to what I said a moment ago about giving somebody a target to work to, we certainly don't say to a team member, your target is 3 times your wage. That's not what we do. The language we use is really important. So we like to use and encourage the people we work with to use a minimum target threshold. Because in the salon industry, we have many things we refer to as targets. And like I've just said, we've got goals, targets, and KPIs. And we like to keep them grouped that way, so people are quite clear about which elements we're talking about. And the only target that an employee really needs to focus on is their sales target, because that's their core business. But what we do is we call it a minimum target threshold and an optimum target. So the minimum target threshold is the amount they must bring in before a bonus is paid. And if you are using commission, then maybe you would use that language and it would be the threshold before commission is paid. The optimum target is the optimum amount of money that you expect them to bring in at their price level. So what we do, and again, I will explain it in a moment, what we do is we say, well, this is your minimum target threshold and your optimum target. And to reward people for achieving their minimum target threshold, let's say it's a £200 bonus. Okay. Now that means that the team member is focused on achieving their minimum target threshold, and they're using their KPIs to help them get there. They know what they have to achieve because it's based on the price that they charge for their clients at an optimum level per hour. And so they're going to get their minimum target threshold, they get £200. Now, getting £200 instantly for achieving a goal, and remember, it doesn't need to be as low as 200 or as much as, it depends on the actual pay somebody's on and the value that they bring to the business and the threshold that you've set. In our next bonus, our performance bonus, it's variable because this is a low-level commission style of thing, but we don't frame it that way. Again, this is about language. We call it performance bonuses. And then we have our optimum target. When a team member achieves their optimum target, they will be reaching their super bonus. And if you're wondering whether this works, it works incredibly well. I have many salons who are using it. In fact, what typically happens when somebody starts working with us and BluePayChar, and one of our onboarding sessions is all about salary structures, and people are very shy, and of course they don't want to change people or their team that they've currently got. But what tends to happen is when they bring new team members in and they're looking at ways that they can incentivize their new team members, they're like, actually, do you think, can I use the performance pay? Yeah, you can use whatever pay structure you want, and you can have as many pay structures running at the same time, so long as it fits within the same pay cycle. So we're now seeing, or have been for the last few years, seeing businesses more and more and more new of their team. And as older team members are leaving and the newer team members are coming in, their businesses are getting more and more and more around this performance pay structure. So if you have any questions about it, please, very happy to answer those. I'm going to move on from the performance pay structure, and I'm going to move into the minimum wage. So a slight change of tempo. And I'm doing this because I want to address, before we get into target setting, I want to address what's happening in April. As we all know, the UK government increase minimum wage rates every April, and clearly these new rates are here. And we can see our apprentice and our 16 and 17-year-olds are on the same rate, 18 to 20, and then our 21 and over is our national living wage, according to the government. This is the percentage increases, but this is the level that we're going to be focusing on, 21 and above. And in a little while, I'm going to show you an example of doing a pay increase from $11.44 an hour to $12.21, and maybe with the language that you can use and how that could work within your business, particularly around setting targets using pricing. So the next thing that I want to look at is there's three things that the government are bringing in April, and that's the employer's national insurance rate rises to 15%, and then the secondary threshold drop to 5,000, and the employment allowance increase to 10,500. Now, I'm not an accountant, which is why Chris is here. But it took me a little while to get my head around what it was they were saying. So I'm going to do it in summary form, but I will send out an A4 sheet with this written out, so you don't need to take any notes if you were going to. So first of all, the employer national insurance rate increase. Every employer pays national insurance contributions, and the employee also pays national insurance contributions, but it is only the rate for the employer that will rise in April, and that's from 13.8 to 15%. Now, the impact of that secondary threshold, and the second element, the impact of the second threshold drop. So it's the level of earnings above which the employers must start paying national insurance contributions, as it says. And then, so it's currently 9,100 per year. And from April, that's going down to 5,000. How is that going to affect us? Well, it's a cost increase to the business. So the reduction in the threshold means that the employers will pay national insurance on the additional 4,100 per employee. And this change adds about £615 per year annually per employee. So the detail of it, as I say, I've skipped out some elements here. I really just wanted to get to, for this second point, the actual cost is seems to be around 615 according to my calculations. So let's move forward to the last point, which is an increase in employment allowance. So the employment allowance reduces the overall national insurance contribution bill for eligible small businesses, and that's increasing from 5,000 to 10,000 a year, essentially meaning that employers will benefit from the larger national insurance contribution offset, which, depending on the size of your business, may partially or even fully mitigate the cost of these increases, particularly for really tiny businesses. I will send an A4 sheet which will explain it nice and clearly for you. I want to move back to our big think that we talked about before and demonstrate to you what that would look like with these new increases. So we've got our £1 million, we've got our 12 revenue producing people. We've already said that they need to produce £1,760. And what I did was I said, okay, well, what salary are they going to be on? Well, this new national minimum wage level for somebody who works 40 hours a week works out at £25,500 a year, approximately. So I said, well, we don't want to pay national minimum wage, and we understand that some people are going to earn more than 30 and some people are going to be closer to the minimum rate. So let's have an average of 29,000. That means our annual wage bill is going to be 435,000. So the employer's national insurance contribution is going to be around 43,500 with these new rates. And that means that the total gross pay would be 478,500. What is the purpose of doing this? Very often when I'm working with a salon owner, and sometimes we would go through an exercise where I'm trying to get them to think big, and they set a goal or a target, and they go, their goal, not their employee targets. And they go, yeah, well, I want to bring in X amount. And we do this exercise and we say, well, if you brought in $1 million, would you be happy to pay out 478,000 and in wages, and knowing that the average wage bill is 29,000? You know, most people are going to be happy with that. And I think that a lot of team members would then have the opportunity to leverage up on their earning, because the average wage in the hair and beauty industry hasn't anywhere near 29,000 at the moment. All of this information that I have shown you in those slides is here in this document. This is the second document that I'll share. And it isn't really about the numbers. It's so that you can sort of see the bullet points and maybe add your own numbers a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to move on. I've actually hidden everybody, so I don't know if people are still awake and still with me. Oh yeah, hello. I can see you now. Sorry. So what I want to do now is show you how to increase the wage from the current minimum wage to the new minimum wage. Even though I don't like pinning everything to minimum wage, it is basically something that we're all familiar with. And the screen that you're looking at is the remuneration, the salary package page within Loop HR. I've deliberately made a screen recording of it to really show you how easy it is to do. And so this is a dummy account. We're going to edit the current salary package, and we are using the performance-based pay structure. Here you see the minimum wage, current minimum wage, and we simply type in the new rate, $12.21. The system does all the calculations for you based on that particular individual profile. You can see the various salary structures here. Now, this is the minimum target threshold, and we can see the costs, we can see the optimum target, and the thing that's being changed on the screen right now, that's £60 has gone to 64. That's the price, optimum income per hour, based on the price that team member charges for their 1 hour service. Now, there's a little widget that we have where team members can play with the number of clients that they see per day. This gives them a benchmark to work to. They can see if they add more clients, the average bill drops, and less clients, the average bill increases. And we talked about bonuses, our personal performance and super bonuses. And this is a little something that we do to ensure everybody feels secure in their salary setting. So we show you the cost of that salary structure even after bonuses have been achieved. In this particular case, it's based on an average month. And we continue through the salary structure, and we're talking about, this is the retail commission. Here we do it based on units in this example. So you get a summary of your salary package, and you update it, and literally that is it. That is all you have to do for your team member when it's time to increase your wage. So the target is set based on price. All of the information that you need about your employee salary package is in one place, including any benefits that may be included. So you've set your new hourly rate. And you don't need to work in hourly rates either. You can work in annual pay, you can work in by pay period, whatever is your normal language. Everything in one place. What we want to do, and I said earlier, we talk about keep it super simple. Salary things are complicated. So what we've done is taken that complication away. We're giving it as much information as we possibly can in one screen about this particular team member. Okay, I promised that I would talk about salary packages and payroll. So this is the salary package for an individual. And then within Loop, you would see a whole list. You will see on the screen, you have a list of job titles and different rates, and then the different pay structures that we have with Loop and whether they've got retail commission. And these are your salary packages that you can build in Loop and simply assign them to a team member. So once you built them, it's super easy to just apply to individuals, and you don't need to make the adjustments I just made. You can click just one button and everything will update for you. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last slide, which is actually, again, this is a screen capture video of payroll in Loop HR. Now, to get to do payroll in Loop, there's a few key things that you need to do. So you need to have your employee profile set up with the salary package, as we've just done. We need to have your employee work hours. So we have our schedules. Now, depending on the point of sale system that you work with, we can pull your schedules in from your point of sale system. Then we also manage holidays and sickness, all manner of other things, maternity leave and such, as you would expect any HR system to do. Let's begin. Let's do payroll and see how quick and easy and efficient it is to do payroll. This is a 7-step process, All of the information within Loop has been collated for you automatically. Here's the schedules. One of the things that used to miff me doing salaries for my team, particularly with a large team, was collating all this information. Loop does it all for you, pulls the information through the pay period, so through the month. You can see that we have our leavers, people who are leaving, our commissions and bonuses have been pulled through, people who start. This is a dummy account. It isn't fully propped, but at least you've got the general idea of what we're saying. This is our service commission, so you can run different pay structures, bonus structure, commission structures. This is your retail commission. And again, I'm a geek, what can I say? We want to give you details through every stage in case you have questions when you're prepping payroll. This is team bonus. I didn't set one up for this period. This is your holiday commission. Loop will calculate the average hourly rate that a team member has earned over the last 52 weeks. And when they go on holiday, and it's all recorded through Loop, it will do that calculation for you. We also do a compliance check. This is the last stage of payroll, and we can see that this team member needs a rather dramatic top up. Obviously, it's a dummy account. We do that deliberately. In this particular instance, we have somebody who is out sick, and you can just check on the adjustments. This is about as stressful as doing payroll should be, no matter how large your team is. And then it's complete. And you get a payroll summary, and you also get a payroll adjustments export file. Those are the things that you send to your payroll provider, or if you do the payroll yourself, then all of the details are there, and it's super easy to be able to complete payroll. Okay, I think it's very easy for me to keep going and talking about these things, so I'm gonna open for questions in just a moment. But before I do, I just want to talk about the employee themselves. One of the main objectives for us really as an employer is to ensure that our team are well looked after. If you have managers helping you on that level, then you need to have elements of accountability for your manager, ways that you can check in with them. Communication is obviously really, really important. We extend that a little bit to communication and engagement. So, yes, there's one-on-one meetings, but these things can take time. So we at Loop have provided your employees with tools to help them. So for example, we have a dashboard for your team members where they can see their targets and what they've achieved. This particular example is talking about bonuses and what % of their target they've achieved. We reaffirm people's job roles. You can actually fill out the system and put job roles and what skills are required, expectations, what goals that they have set for them. Again, this is about accountability, training and skill development. You invest a lot of money in your team on training, and hands up if you've sent people on training and can't remember whether they've done it, you can't find their certificate and all of that stuff. Well, I used to have that problem. So I built this into Loop, and you give your team member an opportunity to do training. If they accept it, they accept your terms and conditions. Everything's built into Loop, and you're able to track and record all training that they've done. Performance reviews, again, all of the information from a data point of view, which again, comes from your point of sale system. So it's all using the same information, but we're presenting it in a way that's going to help drive your business, or for your team member to understand what it is that they need to achieve. Also, what it is that they're doing well and we can reward them for. We've tools for announcements. It's like a digital notice board. Employees can self-manage sickness. This is a really, really powerful tool in the sense that when we first start working with salon owners and they say, no, I don't want my staff to be able to make sick notifications because they'll just be sick. I want them to call. Sickness or absenteeism will drop as soon as employees start to see that it's being tracked. because once they make a sick notification, we ask them the reason that they're off and what actions they took and stuff like that. So then they see on their dashboard how many absences they've had, the number of hours, and the impact it's had on their ability to achieve their goals. So it's really quite powerful, and there's some really good useful tools for the salon owner. Holidays. You will never need to calculate a holiday again, whether that's calculating somebody allowance or track it or anything else, because Loop does it all for you. And as you saw in payroll, we also work out holiday commission. So everything is done for you. And that is the end of my presentation, but I'm going to be very, very happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Chris, I'm going to start with you. How was that, and was it helpful?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I love Loop. You know that already. It's the spreadsheet I've created over the years, like you said, is where you started. So I do love the concept of Loop and how it can benefit salon teams. The big thing at the moment is obviously Loop to help with managing those things, but also the imminent national minimum wage increase and the change in the national insurance contributions. And I know how much it's scaring people. So I just wanted to bring this together just to help people understand what they are, but also show how a system like Loop can help understand what targets need to be set or what bonuses can be offered to sort of get staff to come on board with trying to achieve more. For everyone who is here today, I will do a comparison for you in a spreadsheet of what the additional costs will be for your business individually. So that's as a thank you for joining today, I guess. The couple of examples I have done already, it's not as scary as what people are imagining. They think, oh, it's going from 13.8 to 15%. That's scary. The threshold is going down from 9,100 to 5,000. That's again another scary number. But the increase, I don't know why they've done it really, because the increase is almost covering it in most businesses that I've looked at. One is better off. that I've looked at, one is about £200 a month worse off. So it's not too scary. It's more the larger businesses potentially where they've got more staff, and the allowance hasn't increased based on the size of the business. So that's where it's a little bit more tricky to sort of navigate. It's almost like they don't want businesses to grow. In some ways, it's quite frustrating.
I'd just like to say, Ian, on such a dry subject,
Yeah.
being a professor of dry subjects, that was very well put together, and I think that the dynamics of showing how quickly you can adjust the pay structure and commission and demonstrate the effect that it has, for me is the selling point with regards to getting the absolute foundations correct before you start investing in anything else in the business.
For anybody who is interested in what Loop HR can do for them and their business, and really essentially for their team, which is what Loop was designed for, then I'm very happy to have a conversation with you. You can go to the website and there's something there said book a discovery call. Please do that, book yourself a discovery call, and we have a quick chat. So yeah, no pressure. Either way, I'm happy to answer questions. I've been in the industry a very long time. I've seen it come and go through many changes, and I know damn well that we will get through this. But it is only going to be, I believe, the fittest businesses that are going to get through, and we certainly cannot keep, with the minimum wage going up as it is, we cannot keep hammering out 3 times the wage as a way to set targets. It's not going to work. So doing it by price is the smartest way that I've found so far, and if I find a better way, trust me, I will develop it and I will bring it to you, because that's my job. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to say thank you very much to everybody that has been joining us today. And I look forward to chatting with anybody who's interested. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I will send you the recording. Thanks. Take care. Thanks, Barry.